Hello, everybody. I'm Paul Carruthers, the communications manager for MotoAmerica, and this is Off Track with Carruthers and Bice. I've got Bice up here on top with me, and down below we've got our special guest today, Jake Lewis. Now, Jake, I started to do a little research on you prior to this, a very little, but because I basically know everything. I just had to brush up. But I can't believe how good your season was last year. I mean,
Uh,
it was sneaky good, right?
yeah, kind of in both class, or no, I wouldn't say all three classes, but for sure, Supersport and Hooligans. I stayed consistent. It was I guess you could call a sneaky good season. I finished fourth in Supersport points. I was on the podium a few times, and then Hooligans, I was third in points. With that class being only 10 races, I think it was, I had two DNS, which kind of hurt me in the points. But then in baggers, I think I still finished seventh in points, and that class is tough with the factory bikes and advancing Hines. So it's no secret we kind of struggle in the bagger class, but the other two classes, I mean, it was a good season, and looking forward to 2025. We've already kicked it off, but I'm looking to improve on that results this season.
So you're doing the same three classes, uh, riding the new Yamaha, which we'll talk about soon. You go to Daytona and you win your first. I was surprised that was your first ever Daytona victory of any kind.
Yeah, it was honestly insane because my first pro race ever was Daytona in 2012, and that was AMA Supersport. Back then, they had Sport Bike and then Supersport. But I remember my first ever race there. There was like 53 kids in Supersport, and with that many kids in the class, there were so many red flags during practice and stuff. And then the first race, actually, I got second, and I just almost passed Rispoli to the line. But it's crazy. I've never won at Daytona. I haven't been there a whole bunch because once MotoAmerica took over in 2015, I was in Superbike for I believe 4 years, and Superbikes don't race there, and I hadn't done the 200 since 2014, so I have experience there, but it's not a lot of races. So it was honestly the best feeling to win at Daytona. It was pretty cool.
It looked the way you did it. I mean, I don't even think you could believe it because it like you hit a nitrous button or something. But
Yeah, it looked like
it,
it.
I mean, no clearer description can be of the draft at Daytona than watching the video that in your race there.
Oh, I mean, honestly, like I still get goosebumps and like I get fired up about that finish. Like I've been racing a long time, but that was like the most badass feeling I've ever had race finish in my life, honestly, because that race, I wanted to be first or second to the infield. And if you watch the race, it's only six laps, but the first four laps, I don't think anyone drafted by Corey or myself until like coming to the white flag. And then coming to the white flag, I about hit the wall up in there and then came back
Yeah.
to the bottom. And there was like five of them that came by me. So going into the infield, I was honestly like, shit, I don't know if I can get this done now. And, I had a chance to pass those guys going into the chicane on the last lap, but I was like, I'm going to sit back. And honestly, I was content with a podium uh, for that finish because I just know how big the draft is on the hooligans. But we came out of there, and Cody was in front of me, and it just all worked out perfect. Through the middle of turn four, they were three wide, and I was behind those guys, and that was the most I've ever felt the draft in my life. I mean, I was coming up to those guys with so much speed. If you watch that video, you can see me kind of yank the bike left, and I've got even a couple people I look up to and respect that text me and said that how like incredible that draft was because I had to come out of that draft so hard, and I came by those guys so fast. They wouldn't have caught me till past the finish line even if I was by myself. But I came out. Travis is right there on the left, and I mean, yeah, like you said, that video it looks like I have nitrous, and it was an incredible feeling. And that video, I mean, I think on your platforms has over 800,000 views and like 15,000 people shared it. So it was definitely probably one of the best finishes of my life. And it's a hell of a feeling for sure.
When you came out of the chicane in, I'm going to say last, it wasn't last, obviously, but it was sixth in a group of six. Were you thinking, oh crap? And then at what point were you like, holy crap, I got this?
Yeah, I mean, for sure. That wasn't my plan going into the chicane, but I don't know. I try to use my head when I'm out there and try to kind of outsmart the competition just because I knew from last year's experience how big the draft is on these hooligans. But I didn't want to be in six, but it just worked out perfect for me because in the middle of turn four, I saw those three go three wide. And I was thinking in my head, like it started pulling me in so fast. Like I was trying to gauge which direction I was going to go because I came up to those guys with so much momentum. And honestly, in the middle of turn four, I was like, these boys are mine. Like I came through with so much momentum. I was like, I knew I was going to win it.
Yeah, so Jake, I got in touch with you after because I added it, included it in my story, that my post Daytona story, and I had to because the draft and aerodynamics and all that stuff is so important. And you were on the most, I guess, naked, unfaired motorcycle class and on that bike of anybody. And I mean, so many people go to Daytona, so many factories. Back in the day, they would go wind tunnel testing. They would work on wake modifiers on the bike. And you can't do a lot to that bike other than crawl under that paint as much as you can. And you're 6'4". So, I mean, you were on probably the least aerodynamic motorcycle that was there, right? And it didn't matter because you made it happen. During that race, did you try to get as close to the tank as you could all the time?
Yeah, I mean, every time I ride that bike, with no fairing, there's nothing to tuck behind at all. So you just try to be as small as you can. But I take pride, even being 6'4", even if you look on like super sport bikes and bikes in the past, I feel like my tuck is always good just because I know how important it is. And it's just crazy that last lap compared to when I was by myself. In morning warm up by myself, I think I went 159, 160 miles per hour. And on that last lap, I was 171. So
Wow.
11 to 12 miles per hour difference being behind those guys is incredible. And I've been telling the story a couple of times this past week, but I couldn't talk for 2 days after the race because I don't know. I was just screaming in my helmet like the whole cooldown lap, and I honestly feel like I like damaged my voice box. I couldn't talk for 2 days after that. I flew to Altus to test the new Supersport bike, and the first day I was there, I couldn't talk, and my throat was hurting, and it was the most adrenaline I've probably ever had in my life. I was just so pumped because the day before that finish was a little bit unfortunate in the Hooligan race, and it was just so exciting to win Daytona, especially with Blair there, my mom and my sister, which my sister doesn't get to come to many races, and the first time to win at Daytona, it was something special.
Yeah, when you're out on the banking, on the hooligan bike, what is that like? I mean, you get moved all over the place? I mean, you mentioned the fact that you came super close to the wall.
Oh, I mean, yeah, honestly, it's like trying to pull you off the back of the damn thing because the wind's so brutal, especially me with my shoulders. That's the biggest thing. Like your shoulders are just getting a heck of a workout and just the wind. I mean, you're going 100, like 170 miles per hour with absolutely no fairing. So your head's buffering, your shoulders are getting a heck of a workout. And just the draft is so incredible on those bikes. That lap before coming to the white flag, I just had so much momentum coming up to Corey. And there was like, there wasn't enough room for me to go around the outside, but for some reason I thought there was, and I was probably like literally 2 inches from hitting my elbow on the wall, which
Wow.
was the first time I'd been kind of scared because like I really did about smoke the wall, and that's why you see me kind of look over once I did that, and that lost me a little bit of momentum. But I think hooligan race, I've enjoyed it since I first got on the bike 2 years ago, and last year there were some good races, and I think this year it's setting up to be a good season as well.
Yeah, really good. And one thing I was going to say, Paul, is just to reiterate, as far as the rules go, there is a firm and hard rule that has been enforced in the past in Super Hooligan that the ends of those handlebars can't be lower than the triple clamp. So you can't have clip-ons or anything that low. So you can get as low as you want, but your hands are going to be higher, and that's not easy to do. So that's impressive. Wow.
Yeah, for sure. And like the first time I rode the hooligan, and even with Corey last year, he rode the flat bars, which is like pretty much, I don't know, an inch over the handlebars, and it was just completely flat. But last year I switched bars to where mine are a little bit higher, but have a bend to them because, with the flat bars, my arms are up like this, catching all the wind. And now my shoulders and arms are a little bit more relaxed. It makes the bike easier to ride. And I feel like I can tuck in better like that.
I think that class seems to kind of be made for you in a way, because I think it's just a pure like riding class. You just go ride the bike. I mean, there's no electronics. There's not a lot you can do to it. You probably feel like you can override the crap out of it, and I think it shows that how good you actually are.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like ever since I hopped on the bike, 2 years ago, I was able to do one round. Like I just enjoyed it from the get go because sometimes the electronics are a little bit frustrating, and you just have to rely on the crew so much for like super sport and super bike. But like you said, the hooligan, I mean, literally you just jump on the thing and go do the best you can. There's no electronics on that. You can't really switch or do anything besides suspension. And ever since I've hopped on it, I like it. And, I'm definitely going to try to fight for the championship this year. That's why I was just so bummed in that first race. Had an unfortunate incident. My bike was stuck in fourth gear, which made for a long race around Daytona. But I just stayed out there because in the back of my head, the points is so huge, with only being 10 races. And then to rebound like that in race two was so huge. And, the whole Saddleman race development team has put in so much work on those hooligan bikes with Corey winning the championship last year. And they've just improved the bike over the winter by quite a bit. And I think the competition will get, harder. There's 6 Pan Americas that all have good riders on them. And then we saw Dominic Doyle on the Yamaha up in the pack. And then, DeBrino's on the Triumph, Corey on the Arch. And for me, it's an exciting class because there's 8 or 9 different manufacturers that can race in the class, and all the bikes are fairly equal, and it'll be some good racing to watch.
The team obviously had a great Daytona with the top 3 guys in the second race all on their team, but the baggers is kind of a different story. Is that a little bit frustrating? It must be frustrating for the entire team because it's so hard to keep up with what everybody else is doing.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. Honestly, it's really, really frustrating for me because, say, if I go out and win the hooligan race or have a good hooligan race, and I can put it on the box in Supersport, and then baggers. I mean, honestly, last year we were nowhere to be found. Sometimes 2 seconds, 3 seconds off the pace. But this year our bike is a little bit faster. So, on the banking, I could draft, Campy, the Vance and Hines boys, and that stuff. But it's just so hard with the factory Harley, factory Indian crew. I mean, you saw the Dash for Cash. I mean, all 6 factory bikes in the Dash, and they just have unlimited resources and unlimited budget. So they're on the best of the best equipment. And it's tough for a guy like me who's at least used to fighting for podiums and in the win. Sometimes it's to go out there and hope sometimes to get a top 5 or even 6, sometimes is like a win for us. But I think we'll get a little bit closer to the front guys. Cause like I said, the bike's faster. We just got to get it handling a little bit better. And I mean, it's no secret. You walk through the pits and you kind of see the differences in the bikes and the equipment, that the factory bikes have compared to everyone else.
Yeah, and I think Daytona shows your flaws more than any place else you're going to go. So you might get the worst should be behind you at this point, at least with the baggers.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, sometimes honestly, I pray for rain on the backers just because MotoAmerica, last year it was just pouring down rain, and I was 4th in that, but I think I either did the fastest lap of the race or second fastest lap of the race. So sometimes I like to get all the other races out and then just hope the floodgates open for the bagger race.
Yeah, and Jake, so you raced for Saddleman Race Development, and Corey West, your teammate, won the championship in Super Hooligan last year. Question about that, couple things. So one of them is Saddleman makes seats for motorcycles. So I would think what you guys do in Super Hooligan is probably as important as King of the Baggers, even though I understand King of the Baggers has a lot of a lot of juice, a lot of gravity, but there's so many entrants in Super Hooligan. It's got to be good for the team and the brand. They must be pretty happy about what you guys are doing in that class, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what keeps the team excited with how well we do in that hooligans class. I mean, especially with Corey winning the championship last year, and this year at Daytona, we were able to lock out the podium in that second race with myself, Corey, and Travis, and the team was so pumped. I think they looked it up, and the only other person to like lock out the podium at Daytona, I think, was Joe Gibbs Racing. So it was pretty cool for them, and they do spend a lot of time and effort on our Pan America. That it's the 3rd year the team has had those bikes, and the development that's went into it is huge. And sometimes the competition gets a little bit frustrated with the Harleys, but our team has probably put in the most work out of any hooligan team out there, and it's showing now at Daytona. And the work never stops. And I think some of it translates to the average person racing in hooligan as well. If you have a Harley, I mean, Saddleman makes probably the best seats on the market, and also if you look at our hooligan bike, a lot of the carbon work and a lot of like the aerodynamic stuff that we're able to do, they try to make the bike as light and as slim as possible.
Yeah, it's a cool bike. And one of the things I found out last year, I want to ask you about this. I think you probably will know the answer. So I found out KWR Racing, the other team that's, got some riders, are what, Hayden Schultz and
Cody
um,
Wyman.
Cody Wyman. Yep. And they have one other
We're
rider this
Spoli.
year. Oh, yeah, I'm
Eric.
sorry. And James, and of course, James. Thank you. So last year I found out that they have the swing arm from the Bronx Harley Davidson, which is a model that has never come out, but they had essentially a parts bin of that swing arm. And I was told it lengthened it a little bit and helped it, but I don't think you guys use that swing arm. Do you know if that's true or not?
Yeah, actually, the Bronx swing arm is shortening the bike,
Oh,
so
shortening.
it makes it where you can run a shorter wheelbase. Which I've never tried that swing arm, but I think the KWR guys, I'm 100% sure they're back on the swing arm we're on now. So
Oh,
last
okay.
year we had better results than those guys, and I think the only time they like really like beat us was in the rain. So I think they went back to the long swing arm for this year. And if you look at our bike as well, everything's polished this year, but the swing arm, they did cut it out a little bit where we can play with the wheelbase, shorten it, lengthen it, and all that stuff. And like I said, there's a lot of kind of hidden parts. And if you really look at the bike, you can tell how much work they put in over the off season.
I love it. It's so cool. That's one of the things. I mean, that's kind of how Twins Cup is still like that, but it kind of started out being a tuner class, and there was a lot of development involved in that. And it's so cool that Harley Davidson is involved so much with that. And I mean, heck, I know you guys are actually not on the 2025 Pan America, but they have a model, as I'm sure you know, of the Pan America this year that has the smaller wheels and is a little bit closer to a Super Hooligan bike, although not completely that. So you guys have made a Super Hooligan bike that you've developed enough anyway that you really don't need to go to that one. But it's obviously, it's that idea of racing is improving the breed, even in that class. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's cool to see. I mean, especially Harley Davidson and Indian. I mean, it's the two biggest rivals, and they're putting a lot of money and effort into racing, which is really cool to see. And especially for guys like myself, we're able to pay the bills, racing motorcycles still. So it's pretty cool, and I want one of those Pan Americas because I've rode one stock just around the dirt roads and stuff, and it's an incredible bike to ride, and especially here in Kentucky. I tease the team, give me one of those stock ones. I'll do a couple videos on my turn track. I think it'd be cool even to ride on my turn track. It's an all around good bike, turn track. Put the golf clubs on your back, go to the golf course, ride on any roads, and do anything you want on that bike.
Yeah, speaking of which, are you still, this is off the topic a little bit, but I don't remember if it was GNCC. I think it was. Are you still doing woods riding and all that stuff as well?
No, I think I've learned my lesson a little bit. I've rode dirt bikes twice since New Jersey, and it's not that I'm paranoid now, but like I don't know, I just try to everything I do, like riding wise, I try to ride like at a decently high level, and sometimes it bites me in the ass, and I've been hurt twice. That's cost me rides, and it's just not worth it to me. And even listening to Heron on Gypsy Tales or one of the podcasts he did, it's like crazy to think that he doesn't really ride anything else besides the road race bike. And that after listening to that podcast, mentally, it made me feel better going to the races. I sometimes didn't feel prepared going to Daytona, but as soon as I hopped on the bike, I was up to speed and ready to go. But I do still ride my turn track quite a bit, but there's no jumps, so there's just take the risk of getting hurt out of the equation now.
So
Yeah, I mean,
is your number one form of training like Heron's, which is golf?
Yeah, I mean, I love golf. The past couple of years, I've gotten so into golf, but I'm not any good. But I still love going to golf. But it's cool, I don't know if you guys follow flat track, but my buddy Tom Drain and Sam Drain ride for Essence and Racing, which is based out of Owensboro, and they lived with me all last year. And they're kids, one of them's 14, one of them's 18, and all those kids love to do is ride. And they actually bought 3 acres of land directly across the road from me. So we're going to get in quite a bit of riding this summer. And it's just good to have younger kids like that are hungry and just love riding, to live with you and to train with.
It's funny because I remember you as being that kid.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
remember going to the Hayden's place out here in California, and just the shit they gave you was always always
Yeah,
fun, always fun to watch.
Yeah, exactly. And that's how I feel now. I'm almost 30 years old, and
Wow.
it's really the same equation. I'm 29 years old and Tom's 18, and that's pretty much the age gap between Roger and myself. And I just learned so much and was so like appreciative for the Hayden family back then. And it's cool to have like kids that are hungry to ride and don't even think anything about anything else. They want to do is ride dirt bikes, and that's how I feel now. So I hope Roger felt like that back in the day, that I was able to give him a little bit of motivation and make riding and training a little bit more fun. But I for sure got plenty of shit from those guys over the years.
I used to love listening to you or Roger tell stories about you guys actually lived together for a
Yeah.
while and doing the
Yeah,
laundry and
it was a really cool time of my life for sure. Being an
yeah.
18, 19-year-old, going out to California to train with those guys, living with them, riding with them. I learned a lot, and it's just cool to look back on those experiences in life. And, being with those kids now, I feel like the best I've felt in a while, and just feel like I'm young again, even though, I'm not old, but 29 is a little bit getting up there for racing.
Not that old, trust me.
Yeah, Paul and I know I can probably speak for Paul on this. I think I can. We both really miss Nick McFadden being around too. And we wish he was still racing with us. I know he's got a pretty good career going right now, but man, do you see him much?
Yeah, I actually see him quite a bit, and I'm getting married this October, and he's my best man. So
Oh,
Oh,
that's
we
cool.
perfect. Love
we
it.
keep in touch a lot, and I'm sitting out in my shop right now. But they poured the concrete out for my new side porch, and his business is doing really good. And actually, he bought a dirt bike last year and has started to ride quite a bit. So I think he misses racing. It's just he's been out of it since 2019 now, so it's just hard to get the opportunities. And he's a businessman now, so he's got to do what makes him money. But he started to ride and get in shape. He's actually doing a half
Yeah,
marathon
it's this
like
weekend. Yeah.
next weekend.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
okay.
Yeah, I see on Strava and I chat back and forth a bit with him, but yeah, he's got a half marathon. So he's obviously been doing the work as far as that goes, because those aren't easy to do.
Yeah, for sure. And speaking of Strava, I'm missing in action for the past 5 years, I think. So,
Yeah, I don't see you on there anymore, Jake.
no.
He's focusing on his racing now. That's what he
Hey,
said. He doesn't.
whatever works.
Yeah.
I'm like the opposite. I'm like, I can't stop. I feel like crap if I don't do all that stuff. But it's just different.
For me, it's like too, I don't know, like obviously I'm probably definitely not the hardest trainer in the paddock, but I still do ride dirt bikes a lot and go running quite a bit. And doing three classes isn't easy. And I mean, some people give me shit about my size and weight and all that stuff, but I'm putting in the effort and still going out there and doing the best I can in three classes. And there's no one else in the pits. Maybe Gillum, he does a few classes as well, but there's no one else that's busting their butts as hard as us on the race weekend. On Sunday nights, I'm definitely paying for it and tired, but I love it.
Hey, just point to the scoreboard.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. That's all
scoreboard,
you got to
scoreboard.
do. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a great segue, Jake. Let's talk about this. So we talked about that you raced in three classes last year, and you're going to be racing in three classes this year again. But the difference this year with your ride with Altus Motorsports is they are going to have a team with a couple of GSXR 750s, and they're going to have another team with you and Jarrett Nassani on the brand new YZF-R9, which will debut in our series at Barber. And the cool thing is, you went right from Daytona to Hallett Raceway in Oklahoma, and you tested the past couple days, or at least yesterday. And we saw it. You've got one of our favorites, Murph, involved in the team, as well as, hey, everybody, Jeremy McWilliams is helping that team as well. So, how did it go? How is the bike? Are you excited?
Oh, I mean, honestly, after the past 2 days, I'm super excited. I got in last night at 1 in the morning, so I'm a little bit worn out today. But the past 2 days were incredible. Going straight from Daytona to Altus, Oklahoma, and testing at Howett on the new R9 was cool. And it's kind of been like a waiting game for that bike. Everything's trickling in so last minute and coming in at the last minute. But we kind of saw right out of the gate how fast and how good the bike was in World Supersport, which was promising for myself. And we were riding on the stock motor the past 2 days, but the chassis felt unbelievable. And it's been since 2014 I've raced a Yamaha middleweight bike. And as soon as I sat on the bike, my height's the biggest thing, 6'4", but that bike felt incredible to me. Like the tank is big and the fairing was really good, so I could fit in the bike really good, which is the first thing that I was worried about. But it felt really good, and the chassis was so nice, and it's just nice to have a relationship with Murph as well. He kind of knows how I like things. Last year on the 750, and it translated over to the R9 a little bit. And Jeremy, I would be lying if I said I wasn't a little bit nervous for him being my crew chief, because I didn't know if he had crew chiefed before. But Murph, gave me that reassurance, and it was a heck of a relationship the past couple of days. And Jeremy's super, super smart and understands the data and rider feeling. He still rides at a high level at 60 or 61 years old. And the connection with him was really positive, and I think we'll have a good season.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm going to tell this story. I think Murph is missing part of one finger, and I know that because one time he jammed it in my forehead, and I said, "Is it sensitive on the end?" And he said, "No," and he poked me in the forehead and almost put it through my cranium.
And
So,
so and Jeremy's missing a finger
yes,
as well. So maybe that's the
yes,
connection between those two. They're super tight, and
yeah.
I had a good relationship with Murph last year, and I think he's really intelligent on electronics, and those two get along good. So those two, and then my mechanic Will is coming back from last season, and I'm staying on K-Tech suspension, which for me is a huge deal, because I think all the suspension's good, but it's just having a suspension tuner and a full-time guy and under the tent, and that's what we're having this year at Altus. So
Wow.
a big thank you to K-Tech for providing everything that we need for this season, and a big thanks to George, because he's put in a huge effort, honestly, to be up at the front in Supersport with four bikes, and putting a lot of money and effort into it, and I'm appreciative of that.
Yeah, I mean, and I want to mention some people wonder how that team, which they've been using Suzuki machinery, and you've raced for them on Suzuki's for a while too, Stock 1000 and Super Sport, but how can they have this Yamaha and be in the same team? Well, they have the unique position of they have a dealership, and they're a very active and how do I put it, successful dealership in Altus, Oklahoma with Yamaha, and they're actually a support. They provide support, trackside support, with I think it's Jarrett's older brother or brother Jordan. I think handles a lot of that. You can tell us that, but they can do that because they're very involved with the Yamaha brand. Is that correct?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's the main reason we're switching to Yamaha this year. They're amateur motocross, and then they're even starting to get into supercross, amateur supercross a little bit. Their program is huge, and I think for this year, or like for the next 2 years, they locked in a deal to be like Yamaha's official amateur team. So they bought a semi to go to all the amateur motocrosses, and I think they have 5 or 6 riders. So the relationship and connection with Yamaha is huge, and Yamaha stepped up honestly big time for us this year, supplying bikes, parts, and engines and stuff like that. So a big thank you to them. But I mean, we had the choice, honestly, to ride any bike we wanted to, because the dealership sells about anything. And George, even at one time, kicked around the idea of doing Honda and Stock Thousand, staying on the
Wow.
Suzuki, going to the R9. But in the end, I'm glad we're doing the R9 program.
So how far away is the bike from being ready for the first race? Is it waiting for parts? Where are you at with that
Uh,
as far as it being a race bike?
Yeah, it's a little bit of ways, because Super Sport rules changed this year where we can run triple clamps in a link, and we didn't have that at the test either. But we were on the bike with the rear sets, clip-ons, and the same electronics that's legal for Super Sport. So it was just ironing all that out. But we still have to have the motor, the triple clamps, and the link, which is a big part of the bike. But initial feelings is incredible, and I know Strike has been testing the past 2 days as well. So I think they have everything they need. But I think we'll probably only get one day on the bike before Barber, so maybe going in on the back foot a little bit. But I'm confident with my guys and my crew that I think we'll be at the sharp end even from the get go at Barber, because I was riding around Owen Williams and my other teammate Torrin Collins on the 750s, and even stock, the R9 makes good torque. It's just the mid range and farther down the straightaway, they for sure pulled on me. And, I had so many people messaging me asking about the R9 and how it felt, but the chassis is incredible. And I think it's going to be a weapon in Supersport.
Yeah, I want to ask you how it felt a little bit more, Jake. So you obviously rode an R6 for a really long time, in a lot of different iterations, Daytona Sport Bike, I'm sure, as well as Supersport. And then recently you've ridden a GSX-R 750, which everybody says is absolutely a weapon out of the corners. It just really, really goes well, has a good drive. But this thing is a triple, and it's probably got some pretty serious torque on it. Compare it to that. Are you getting a good jump off the corner? Does it feel anything like your GSX-R 750 in that regard?
It's hard because I hadn't rode the Gixxer since September, but coming
Yeah.
from Daytona, going
Oh,
170 and riding probably the two biggest torque monsters on the grid with the Harley Pan America and Harley Road Glide. As soon as I went out on that R9, I was like, this thing's a little bit slow. But then once I got going on it, I mean, the thing does make really good torque. And even with the stock motor behind Torn and behind Owen, like jumping off the corners, I can even right now jump off the corners with them. So I think it's only going to get better with the motor and chassis wise. It just felt so good. I mean, I'm just so pumped for the bike and for the season because even out there, I was able to string together quite a few laps that were fast and consistent. And I just feel like really locked in right now. And you know how it is as like a rider. I just feel like super good with how everything's been going, even since Daytona and not riding all winter. I spent 5 months not riding and I already feel like I'm riding at a good level and looking forward to the season ahead.
Now, you mentioned earlier about Jeremy McWilliams being your crew chief. Do you also feel like you get a little two for one deal there and that he can help as far as being a rider coach a little
Oh, I
bit?
mean, yeah, it's huge. I mean, honestly, on the flight last night back home, I was just like so like pumped with everything because I've never had a like I've loved every crew chief I've worked with, but I've never had a crew chief that rode at a high level like Jeremy. I mean, even Jeremy last year, he just hopped in at Coda in the Hooligan race, and that last race he put it on the box. I mean, he rides at a high level, and he's able to go like this past couple of days, he's able to go trackside and see how the bike's going into the turn and how I look on the bike and give me advice. And he can see what the bike's doing and he knows like tire pressures and what changing tire pressures does, what changes on the suspension due to the bike. And just the connection was really, really good. And I think we're going to be a heck of a duo, with Jeremy as he is my crew chief, but also as a rider coach, and then Murph on the electronics and having K-Tech in the pits. I have high hopes for Supersport this year, and I want to be fighting for podiums every weekend. And I think I can, because last year, once we switched to K-Tech and I had that confidence, the last few rounds, I was always up at the pointy end of the pack. And I'm looking hopefully to be there at the start of the season at Barber.
So there'll be 7 races where you have the 3 classes, right? I think.
No, actually, it's only 3 rounds, which is kind of lucky for me.
Oh,
So
okay.
the first time will be that's one of the first things I looked at when the schedule came out because those 3 classes are honestly really tough for me on the race weekends, and none other than Road Atlanta to get it started. One of the most physical tracks. So I do Road Atlanta, Laguna, and I think Mid Ohio. I'll
Okay.
do the all 3 classes, but at least the first round at Barber is just Super Sport, so that'll kind of be nice to get the season started just focusing on Super Sport, and then after that just jump right into it.
Yeah, Jake, are you like, well, I bet you are, like the Haydens, particularly Rogers told me this before. He kind of feels like for sure Road Atlanta is one of his home tracks, kind of Barber too, and actually even Mid Ohio he feels is a little bit. Do you feel that way about those 3 tracks as well?
Yeah, for sure, especially Barber and Road Atlanta, just because I grew up there doing sport bike track time, we're nationals, and rode those tracks quite a bit growing up, and even Mid Ohio. I've only been to Mid Ohio probably 3 times in my life, but
Oh,
it's just
okay.
like I don't know, I really like that track. But most of the Moto America tracks we go to now, I mean, I've been to them since 2012, really, and it's not like there's not a home track advantage. It's just kind of cool having friends and family come to the closer ones. The closest round is Barber for us. It's only 4.5 hours, so it'll be cool to have friends and family there. And like my buddy Sam Drain, he's riding the Talent Cup bike this year for Essenson, so he'll be at Barber as well. So it'll be cool to see how he goes at his first ever Moto America race.
Yeah, you'll be able to give him some help.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that'll be cool for me. He's actually leaving here in a couple of days to go to Crescent to get his feet wet on that. But
Yep.
he's rode a couple Australian Supersport races the past month, and I think he'll be good. I mean, for 14, it reminds me of myself at that age. He just, like I said, they ride every single day pretty much, and he's just a kid and loves to ride, and he's got so much talent. I mean, and especially having an older brother as like Tom. I mean, Tom's finished second in the singles points the past 2 years, and I think this year, we want to bring some titles back home to Kentucky.
Do you
Yeah, that'd be
remember
cool.
do you remember going when you were a kid going from dirt track to road racing and like could you tell me like what was the most difficult part about making that transition?
Yeah, it was tough. I mean, when I was that age, I literally rode like almost every single day because Earl Hayden was a huge part of my development and growing up, and he would call my dad on the phone every day to make sure I was out there riding. So I rode dirt bikes pretty much every day, but some weekends we were going flat track racing, some weekends road racing. But around the age of 15, I pretty much fully committed to road racing because I remember when I was going for the Horizon Award for the road race, there was also the dirt track uh, amateur nationals, and I spent a day or two doing the dirt track, and then went over to the road race. And I was pretty good in both disciplines. I mean, Briar Ballman's the same age as myself, and he's fighting for Twins main events, but we just went completely different paths. I fully committed to road racing, and now I don't really flat track that much, but I still do enjoy getting sideways sometimes.
Why did you choose road racing?
Uh, that's a tough question, but I mean, realistically, the kind of the money, and I just enjoyed road racing so much more. I mean, I had dirt tracks from the time I was 4 till 15, like almost every single weekend, and I wouldn't say like going in a circle gets old, but it kind of got old. I was kind of burnt out on it, and I just enjoyed road racing so much more. And with Earl's guidance,
Yes.
Earl's guidance is the main reason we stuck out road racing and went road racing because we did everything that he wanted us to do, and hit the pathway to road racing was just better, financially, and it just happened to be I loved it a lot more.
I can distinctly remember this. The first time I ever heard your name from anyone or anybody talk was Earl. Earl was saying he was working with you in road racing, and I think you had been doing some Wera stuff at the time, but I didn't know as much about that. But yeah, Earl actually was kind of the one that t said here, I'm working with this kid, and he's really good. Hey, I want to go back to Jeremy McWilliams for just a second. I want to because I'm sure you saw him when you were at Daytona. I had contacted him after hearing about him being involved with Altus, and he wrote back to me and he said, "Yeah, I'm really excited about it, but you'll probably see me doing some other things." So here he was at Daytona. It was arch racing, and they had the shroud over the bike and the door down, and I mean we couldn't get anywhere near it. Finally, they open up the door, and at one point, I'm like, "There's Jeremy McWilliams standing there." Does he have an official role with that team, or was he helping? What was he doing?
Yeah, so I knew Jeremy from the past couple of years, but I'm not that close with him at all. I didn't really don't know much about him until the past couple of days of the test, but I had no clue that he was riding the Arch bike, and I knew that Arch was going hooligan racing because a producer called me a couple weeks before Daytona. They're making a whole, I don't know if it's a documentary or a show over Arch racing, but we got to Daytona, and they pulled the bike out of the trailer with the cover over it. All you could see was the wheels. They kept the garage door shut the whole time. So I was like, I mean, I don't know what they're hiding or anything like that. But then I saw Jeremy in the Arch gear, and I was like, what the heck, but that was pretty cool to see. And he's actually rode the bike a couple times. I think he's kind of helping develop that Arch Hooligan bike. Jeremy's got so much experience, and a lot of people don't know that he was with KTM for the past 10 to 15 years developing bikes, and he's just got so much knowledge and understanding of how a bike should work and designing stuff. I think that Arch, obviously with Kiana being a big part of the races, he was there at Daytona the whole weekend with the cameras and everything. I think they'll for sure improve and be at the sharp end of hooligan racing in the future.
Yeah, it's funny. When Jeremy was racing in Super Hooligan, he was at the time developing that new KTM Duke 990 that Chris Fillmore had as a prototype and is now a bike that's actually in that series. He had a lot to do with it, but he was riding an Indian at the time. So the whole thing, he's just so versatile, like you said, and he's ridden everything. So he's just a great asset for you, as you've underscored with him. It's cool that he's with the team. It's so good.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. Like I said earlier, I mean, it just the first time I've ever had a crew chief. I mean, some of my crew chiefs have rode in the past, but like not to the level Jeremy has rode at. So just the understanding that he's going to have for the season is huge. And it was funny yesterday at the test, we were talking about the Loudon Classic. They have a Hooligan's purse this year, and I started the
Yeah.
Supersport purse, and you could just see he's a racer. Even with him being 61, he was itching his itching his fingers to go try up there and try to get some of that money.
Has he ever? I don't think he's ever been to Loudon, has he?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so, and I haven't either. But I'm for sure trying to get George and Team Saddleman to take some bikes up there for me. I mean,
Wow.
it'd be a good payday. You know, the purse is huge for those two classes.
Yeah, it's massive. That would be so cool. And Team Hamburg is up there, as you know. So, and some of the other riders to race in the classic itself. But that's cool that they're doing a hooligan thing too. Very, very awesome.
You can keep adding on to that mansion with all that money.
It's not a mansion, but I lucked out. I lucked out with this place, man. I love it out here in the country. I'm on 13 acres, and we
Yeah,
call them
that's cool.
pole barns here in Kentucky. And I bought this place in 2019 before the market went nuts. And I have a turn track out here. I have a cool shop, and I just love life out here. And I'm definitely not a. It's definitely not a millionaire, because everyone knows how much of a tight ass I am, but I'm fortunate and blessed to be doing what I love and have what I have.
How far away is the golf course?
I have within 10 minutes of me, so
Wow.
life's not too bad.
No, you're doing good.
Yeah, and Jake, I've seen some photos of your house, your area. You recently showed a photo, which I was surprised there was snow on the ground when there was here in Ohio, because I didn't know you got the same storm. But anyway, it looks like you're kind of out in the middle of the country and you're not real close to other houses. Are you, or are there houses nearby?
I mean, there's houses nearby, and you can see my house from the road, but like I don't really, I mean, I have neighbors, but they can't see my house, besides the drains now. They built literally right across the road from me. But I grew up out in the country, and I just love the country life, because you're just kind of out here by yourself and can take it all in. And I really wanted to track, when Roger was retiring, and when Nikki passed away, we weren't really riding at Sunset Downs anymore. And I wanted a track that kind of replicated and felt like home where I grew up. So I looked for a place in the country for about 6 months, and it's just hard to find land. Owensboro is just growing, and the population's increasing every single year. And I just lucked out finding this place, and I love calling this place home. But even though the winters are brutal, every winter I'm looking forward to starting racing, just because it gets so cold here. And just a month ago, it was literally like 6 degrees and couple inches of snow on the ground. It was pretty brutal, and the winters can be tough. But this time of year, I'm back in a t-shirt and going to be able to ride outside, play golf, do
Yep.
everything I want to do.
Yep, for sure. Kyle Wyman hates when we talk about the weather, but it's 73 degrees here and sunny, and we had that cold recently too. So
We have rain.
okay. Hey,
Killing me.
Jake, so I don't know if you still do, but your hometown is Princeton, Kentucky, not exactly Owensboro. Is your house now in Owensboro?
It's in Calhoun, Kentucky. It's called. So
Calhoun. Okay.
Calhoun, look it up on the map. It's a small little town, but I'm still in Davis County, which is Davis County is Owensboro's, and I'm like
Okay.
20 minutes from downtown Owensboro, like on the river. I live 15 minutes from Target, Sam's Club, all
Oh,
that
you're
stuff.
good.
Like I'm good. I'm out in the sticks, but I'm not like too far out from anything. But
So right.
I'm glad you text me asking about my hometown, just because when they announced you on the podium, I mean, my hometown's Princeton, Kentucky, and that'll always be home. So I do enjoy when they say, Jake Lewis from Princeton, Kentucky, because that's where I was born and raised, and it's only 6,000 people in that town. So there's a lot of hometown people that still keep up with me and support me. So I really appreciate that.
Yeah, I think the entry list originally might have said Calhoun. Maybe that's what George put down, but I always like to talk to you guys and make sure, and I knew it was always Princeton. Are you closer? You're closer to Owensboro than you are to Princeton, then, right?
Yes, I live about an hour 10, hour 15 from my mom, so still not too
Oh,
far. And my
okay.
sister's like 2 hours from me. So we don't see each other a huge amount just because, I mean, my mom comes to every race pretty much, and
She
that's kind
does.
of our connection and when we see each other the most.
That's
She's
cool.
an awesome mom. I mean, Paul gets sick of me talking about the mothers, but I love your
No.
mom. I go around and talk to her, and I'm like, I just love her so much. She's the best. So, and
Oh.
I have not met your sister yet, so you better
Oh
warn her.
God, hide the sister, hide the sister. Uh, all right, guys. Do you have anything else, Sean? Or we let
No,
him
I'm
go?
no, I think we're good. Can't wait to see it, Barber, on that new bike. I mean, it's going to be so cool. Really
Yeah, I'm
cool.
looking forward to it, and just doing 3 classes this year. I'll get a lot of track time and do a lot of racing. So it's going to be a busy year. And thanks for having me on, guys. I'm still kind of on a high from that Daytona win, and
Good.
it's just unreal too how many people saw that video and like messaged me. I mean, I've never had that many people text me and message me on Instagram, Facebook, all that stuff. So I know that's why you guys wanted me to be on here to talk about the Daytona win, and I feel like that's the most adrenaline I'll ever have in my life, and most people, average person, won't ever get to experience that. And it was like the best feeling in the world.
Well,
So cool.
congratulations.
Yeah.
And yeah, we'll see you. God, it'll be here before we know it, but we'll see you
Right.
in the great state of Alabama.
Heck yeah, guys. Thanks for having me on.
All right, bye.